I was excluded from a group trip I helped plan and pay for. I found out I wasn't going to Iceland anymore when I opened Instagram at 3:14 a.m. and saw Daniel's story from Keflavik Airport. The group photo showed all 8 of them, my supposed best friends, holding boarding passes and champagne flutes in the lounge I'd specifically researched and booked access to with my credit card points. The caption read, "Squad goals achieved," with a plain emoji. My stomach dropped so hard I thought I'd vomit. I'd paid the $4,800 deposit for the Airbnb 2 months ago. I'd spent 6 weeks creating the itinerary spreadsheet everyone kept calling insanely detailed and perfect. I'd researched every restaurant, every hot spring, every driving route between Reykjavik and Akureyri. And I was sitting in my apartment in Chicago, staring at my packed suitcase in the corner, realizing I'd been systematically erased from my own trip. The planning had started 11 months earlier on a Friday night at Lincoln Park Tavern. Daniel Hutchinson, my roommate since sophomore year at DePaul, had thrown out the idea over his 3rd beer. What if we actually did it? What if we actually took that Iceland trip we've been talking about since graduation? The table erupted. There were 8 of us then, Aumi, Daniel, his girlfriend, Olivia Chen. Wait, I need to use a different name. Let me restart that. There were 8 of us, me, Daniel, his girlfriend, Meredith Park, my girlfriend, Vanessa Liu, Daniel's brother, Kyle, Kyle's fiancée, Rebecca Winters, and our friends Nathan Cross and Jenna Sullivan. We'd all been close since college, that kind of friend group that did everything together. Weekly trivia nights, annual camping trips, standing Sunday brunch reservation. I trusted these people more than my own family. Within 20 minutes, we'd set dates for August, created a group chat called Iceland Squad 2024, and I'd volunteered to handle the research and logistics. I was good at that stuff. Organized, detail-oriented, the guy who actually read reviews and made backup plans. Everyone seemed relieved someone was taking charge. I spent the next 2 weeks building the master itinerary. I'm talking 63 pages of research compiled into a color-coded Google sheet with tabs for flights, accommodations, activities, restaurants, emergency contacts, packing lists, and estimated costs broken down by person and by day. I found a 6-bedroom Airbnb outside Reykjavik with a hot tub and Northern Lights viewing deck for $6,400 total, $800 per person for the week. I researched the best time to book flights, found a car rental company with positive reviews and reasonable rates for 3 SUVs, mapped out a route that would take us to Ajingvellir National Park, Gullfoss Waterfall, the Blue Lagoon, Jökulsárlón Glacier Lagoon, and Akureyri in the north. I even created a shared Spotify playlist with Icelandic artists and atmospheric music for the drives. When I shared the spreadsheet in the group chat, the responses were immediate and enthusiastic. "This is incredible," Meredith wrote. "You're literally the MVP," from Nathan. Vanessa sent a string of heart emojis. Daniel called me that night. "Dude, this is insane. You should be a travel agent or something. We're so lucky to have you handling this." The first money request came in December. The Airbnb owner wanted a 75% deposit to hold the property for our dates. Prime Northern Lights season made it competitive. The total was $4,800, which meant $600 per person. I created a Venmo request and sent it to the group chat with a 2-week deadline, explaining that if we didn't secure it soon, we'd lose the property. Within 3 days, I'd received nothing. 0 payments. I sent a follow-up message. "Hey guys, just a reminder about the Airbnb deposit. Deadline is next Friday." Meredith responded, "Oh shoot, I forgot. Sending now." But she didn't send it. Neither did anyone else. The deadline approached. I sent another message, trying to keep it light. "Okay, folks, deposit due in 48 hours. Who's in?" Daniel responded this time. "Can you just cover it and we'll pay you back? My account's weird right now with the holiday spending." I hesitated. That was a lot of money to front, but I had it in savings, and these were my best friends. People I'd known for 6 years, people who'd helped me move apartments, who'd visited me in the hospital when I had my appendix out, who'd thrown me a surprise birthday party. I trusted them. "Sure," I typed, "but I'll need everyone to pay me back by January 15th. Unanimous agreement in the chat, thumbs up emojis all around. January 15th came and went. I'd received exactly $0. I sent a gentle reminder on January 18th. "Hey team, just following up on the Airbnb reimbursements. No rush, but wanted to make sure everyone had the Venmo link." Nothing. Radio silence for 4 days, then Jenna replied, "OMG, sorry, totally slipped my mind. Sending this weekend." She didn't send it. I tried individual messages. Nathan said his direct deposit was delayed. Rebecca said she'd just paid for wedding stuff and would get it to me soon. Kyle said he thought Daniel was covering his portion. Daniel said his brother was confused and that he'd sorted out. Meredith claimed she'd already sent it. She hadn't. And when I gently showed her the screenshot proving no transaction existed, she got defensive. I don't appreciate being called a liar. I'll check my bank statement. Vanessa, my own girlfriend, kept saying, "Next paycheck," for 6 weeks straight. By mid-February, I was out $4,800 with nothing but promises. The flight booking deadline hit in March. I tracked prices obsessively and found the sweet spot. $890 round trip per person through Icelandair, direct from O'Hare to Keflavik. I posted the link in the group chat with, "Book now, prices jump $200 plus tomorrow." Within an hour, I saw Daniel post on social media about booking the Iceland adventure with a screenshot of his confirmation. The group chat lit up with celebration. "We're really doing this. Can't wait. So excited." I waited for someone to mention paying me back the deposit money. No one did. I booked my own flight, watching my credit card balance climb higher. Then I got pulled into planning mode again. Everyone wanted my input on activities, restaurants, packing lists. Nathan asked me to research the best telephoto lens for Northern Lights photography. Rebecca wanted restaurant recommendations for her dietary restrictions. Jenna needed help finding waterproof hiking boots in her size. I spent hours helping everyone, still unpaid, telling myself they'd make it right eventually. April brought the car rental situation. We needed 3 vehicles to fit 8 people plus luggage comfortably for the 6-hour drives. I found a rental company with great reviews and reasonable rates. $340 per vehicle for the week, $1,020 total, which was $127.50 per person. I created another Venmo request. This time, Kyle actually paid immediately, the first and only person to send me money for anything. I felt a surge of hope. See? They weren't ignoring me, but weeks passed and no one else paid. The reservation deadline approached. I sent multiple reminders. Finally, the night before we'd lose the booking, Daniel called me. "Hey man, can you just put it on your card? We'll pay you back with everything else." My stomach twisted. I was now in for nearly $6,000 with only Kyle's $127.50 returned. "When exactly is everything else happening?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "I've been asking for months." Daniel sighed like I was being unreasonable. "Dude, we're all good for it. You know that. We've been friends for 6 years. Just trust the process. Everyone's just tight right now, but we'll settle up before the trip." I wish I could say I put my foot down right then. I didn't. I paid for the rental cars. I told myself Daniel was right. We were friends. They'd make it right. I was just being anxious. But something had shifted. I started noticing things. The group chat that had been chaotic and active suddenly went quiet whenever I posted. My detailed questions about splitting other costs got one-word responses, or none at all. When I suggested we all chip in for a group grocery run on arrival to save money, Meredith wrote, "Sure, whatever," and the conversation immediately changed to something else. Meanwhile, I saw them posting on Instagram about other expenditures. Nathan bought new camera equipment. Jenna posted about a spa weekend. Rebecca showed off her wedding dress alterations. Daniel got a new gaming console. They all had money, just not for me. The group dynamics started shifting in May. Suddenly there was a separate group chat I wasn't in. I only knew because Vanessa accidentally mentioned something from the group chat that I'd never seen. When I asked about it, she claimed she meant our chat, but her face did that thing it does when she's lying, this tiny muscle twitch under her left eye. I let it go. Then in early June, plans started changing without my input. The itinerary I'd spent weeks creating was being altered. Daniel announced one evening that they'd decided to skip Akureyri and spend extra time in Reykjavik instead. "When did we decide that?" I asked. "The whole northern route was planned around seeing Akureyri and the different landscape up there." Daniel shrugged. "We talked about it and most people wanted more city time." "When? Where was this conversation?" "I don't know, man. It came up." "It came up where? In the secret group chat? The one I'd been excluded from?" My chest felt tight, but I didn't push it. I updated the spreadsheet, removing dozens of hours of research on northern Iceland. By July, I'd paid for everything except individual flights. The Airbnb, $4,800, the rental cars, $892.50 after Kyle's payment, a group excursion to a glacier I'd booked early for a discount, $960, and various other deposits and reservations totaling another $800. I was in for $7,452.50. I'd received $127.50 back. I'd sent, conservatively, 30 Venmo requests and follow-up messages. The group chat had stopped responding to anything financial I posted. When I tried to bring it up in person at Sunday brunch, the vibe got weird immediately. "Can we not talk money stuff right now?" Jenna said, rolling her eyes. "It's brunch." Nathan literally got up to use the bathroom the second I started talking. I felt like I was going crazy. These were my friends. We'd been close for years. Why were they acting like I was the problem for wanting to be reimbursed thousands of dollars? Then came the Wednesday night in late July when everything crystallized. Vanessa came home to our apartment around 11 p.m., clearly buzzed, and immediately went to shower. Her phone, left on the kitchen counter, kept lighting up with notifications. I wasn't trying to snoop. It was just there, face up, impossible to ignore. The preview messages were from the group chat, the one I wasn't in. "Can't wait for the trip without his constant micromanaging." That was from Meredith. "Right? Like we get it, dude. You made a spreadsheet," from Nathan. "He's going to be so mad lol," from Jenna. My hands started shaking. I picked up the phone. I shouldn't have. I knew I shouldn't have. But I couldn't stop myself. I opened the messages using the Face ID while Vanessa's photo was on the screen from earlier. The chat was called Iceland Real Squad. I scrolled through hundreds of messages. They'd been planning to exclude me for months, since April. The conversation had started when Daniel suggested that I was making the trip too structured and taking the fun out of it. Meredith agreed that my itinerary was controlling. They started joking about ditching me. At first it seemed like jokes, then it became serious. What if we just didn't tell him the real flight details? From Kyle. We could say it got canceled and we had to rebook. From Rebecca. Nathan suggested they all book different flights than the ones I'd researched, earlier ones, so they'd land before me. Everyone loved this idea. They spent weeks coordinating it. They found flights that left on the same day I thought we were going, but 6 hours earlier. They made sure to book through different airlines so I wouldn't see their confirmations if I somehow checked. Jenna said she'd handle making sure I didn't get suspicious. That's why she'd been asking me so many questions. She was extracting information to make sure their secret planning didn't conflict with what I knew. But it got worse. So much worse. They weren't just excluding me from the trip timeline. They were planning to exclude me entirely. Once we're there, we just tell him we changed the Airbnb. From Daniel. He can't do anything about it. From Chicago, LOL. Meredith. What about all the money he paid? Daniel. That's on him for being weird about fronting it. We'll pay him back eventually. Nathan. Will we though? Laughing emoji. Multiple laughing emojis. Jenna. I mean, he chose to pay for stuff before we confirmed. Bad financial decision. Rebecca. Honestly, he's been so annoying about the money. Maybe this will teach him not to be so controlling about everything. The cruelty was staggering. My girlfriend, Vanessa, had written, I know I should feel bad, but honestly I'm relieved. The trip will be way more relaxed without him hovering over every detail. My own girlfriend, the woman I'd been dating for 3 years, the woman I'd been looking at engagement rings for. I stood in my kitchen at 11:23 p.m., reading message after message of my 8 closest friends, including my girlfriend and my roommate, gleefully planning to steal the trip I'd organized and paid for, and I felt something inside me go completely cold. Not hot with anger, not sad, just cold, calculating. The shower turned off. I closed the messages, put Vanessa's phone exactly where I'd found it, and went to our bedroom. When she came in, hair wrapped in a towel, I was sitting on the bed. Hey, babe, she said brightly. How was your night? I looked at her. Really looked at her. This stranger wearing my girlfriend's face. Fine, I said. How was yours? Oh, just hung out with Jenna. Girl talk. She was lying right to my face. I'd seen the group chat. She'd been with all of them at Nathan's apartment, planning my exclusion. Cool, I said. I'm pretty tired. Going to bed. I lay there in the dark, listening to her breathe, and I started planning. The next morning, I played completely normal. I went to work. I'm a data analyst for a healthcare company, and spent my lunch break documenting everything. Screenshots of every Venmo request I'd sent. Screenshots of every non-response in our group chat. A spreadsheet calculating exactly how much each person owed me. Printouts of all the booking confirmations showing my credit card as payment. I created a folder on my desktop called Iceland Trip and organized it like I was preparing legal evidence, because I realized I might need to. That evening, I casually asked Vanessa about the trip. So, flight's in 3 weeks. You excited? So excited, she gushed. I can't wait. You did such an amazing job planning everything. The ease of her lying was remarkable. Yeah, I said. It's going to be great. I watched her face for any crack of guilt. Nothing. Just genuine seeming enthusiasm for a trip she was actively planning to take without me. Friday brought a group brunch. Our standing Sunday tradition had moved to Friday that week because of schedule conflicts. Everyone was there. I watched them with new eyes, the way they'd glance at each other when I talked about Iceland, the tiny smirks. At one point, Daniel said, 3 weeks, and everyone got excited and raised their mimosas, and I noticed, really noticed, that while they clinked glasses with each other, no one clinked with me. I was there but separate, already excluded, already erased. Nathan asked me about the Northern Lights photography he'd asked me to research. I'd spent 4 hours putting together a detailed guide for him. Did you ever send me that? He asked. I had. 2 weeks ago. He knew I had. Yeah, I said. Check your email. Oh, must have missed it. Can you resend? He wasn't even trying to hide that he didn't care about my effort anymore. Why would he? I wasn't going to be there to photograph the Northern Lights with him. I played along. I acted normal. I even brought up trip details, watching them scramble to maintain the lie. When I mentioned that we should all exchange itineraries so we knew when everyone was landing, Rebecca quickly said she hadn't booked yet. A complete lie. I'd seen in the secret chat that she'd booked in May. Kyle supported her lie smoothly. Yeah, we've been waiting on some stuff. They'd practiced this. They had coordinated lies ready. I smiled and nodded and filed away every deception. That night, I did something I'm not proud of, but don't regret. I went through our shared apartment while Daniel was visiting Meredith. I found his passport and photographed his Iceland flight confirmation he'd printed out. 6 hours before my flight, different airline, everything Nathan had suggested in the chat. I put it back exactly where I found it. The next week, I consulted a lawyer. His name was Richard Grayson, a former classmate from DePaul who'd gone into contract law. We met at his office Monday evening. I brought my folder of documentation. "So," he said, scanning through the papers I'd organized, "you paid for a group trip, they've refused to reimburse you, and now they're planning to exclude you from the trip entirely?" "That's the situation," I confirmed. He whistled low. This is pretty clear-cut. You have documented proof of expenses, proof they agreed to pay you back, and proof of their intent to defraud you." "Defraud?" "That's what this is. They accepted benefits, the reservations, the planning, the deposits, under false pretenses. They never intended to pay you back. And now they're attempting to steal the trip entirely by excluding you after you've funded it." He leaned back in his chair. "You have several options here. Small claims court for the money, potentially a civil suit for the larger amount plus damages. But honestly, the fastest, cleanest revenge is making sure you're on that trip and they can't exclude you." Richard walked me through it. All the reservations were in my name. The Airbnb, the rental cars, the glacier tour, everything. They couldn't actually exclude me. Legally, I was the primary party on every contract. If anyone was getting excluded, it would be them. "Here's what you do," Richard said, pulling out a legal pad. "You say nothing. Let them think their plan is working. Get on your originally scheduled flight. When you land, you go directly to the Airbnb. You have the confirmation and the key code. You legally have the right to be there. It's your reservation. They'll land 6 hours before you, sure. But they won't be able to access the property without you because—" He checked my paperwork. "The owner requires the primary renter to check in first and show ID, which is you." I felt something like joy for the first time in weeks. "What about the cars?" "Same thing. Reservations are in your name. They can't pick them up without the primary renter's credit card and license, which is yours." He grinned. "They've planned the perfect crime, except they've forgotten that you're the one who actually controls everything. They have boarding passes and attitude. You have legal contracts. If you are enjoying this story already, please subscribe to see more stories like this." I left Richard's office with a plan. I'd still get on my original flight. I'd still go to Iceland. And when I got there, I'd confront them with the reality that they'd tried to steal from the one person who'd made the entire trip possible. But Richard added one more thing as I was leaving. "Document everything when you're there. Record conversations if Illinois is a one-party consent state, which it is. Get them admitting what they did. You might need it if you decide to pursue the money legally." I nodded. I was already planning to do exactly that. The next 2 weeks were surreal. I watched them all get increasingly excited in the main group chat, the one I was in, while saying nothing about their real flight times. They asked me logistics questions they already knew the answers to, maintaining the charade. Vanessa packed her suitcase in our bedroom, humming happily, telling me how much she loved me. I felt like I was living with a ghost, a really good actress playing my girlfriend. 3 days before departure, Jenna posted in the main chat, "OMG guys, bad news. My flight got canceled and I had to rebook on a different airline. Landing 6 hours earlier now. So annoying." This was the cover story. The one they'd coordinated. Within an hour, coincidentally, everyone else reported the same issue. Everyone except me. "Wow, that's so weird," I typed. "Everyone's flight got canceled except mine?" Daniel. "Yeah, man, crazy. But don't worry, we'll just meet you at the Airbnb when you land. We can check in early and get settled." Except they couldn't check in early, because I was the primary renter, because the property owner had been very clear in the listing that early check-in wasn't available, and the key code would only be provided to the verified guest after ID verification. I'd read the fine print they'd all ignored. "Sounds good," I replied. "See you guys there." I took a screenshot of the conversation and added it to my evidence folder. The night before my flight, I barely slept. Not from anxiety, from cold, focused energy. I'd spent months being gaslit by the people I trusted most. Tomorrow, that ended. I got to O'Hare at 4:30 a.m. for my 7:15 a.m. flight. As I went through security, I wondered if they were already in the air. They'd left at 1 a.m. on a red-eye, 6 hours ahead. They'd land around 11 a.m. local time in Iceland. I'd land at 5 p.m. I imagined them celebrating in the airport, taking the photo I'd eventually see on Instagram, congratulating themselves on excluding me. My flight was uneventful. I didn't sleep. I reviewed my documentation. I rehearsed what I'd say. When we touched down in Keflavik at 4:52 p.m. local time, my phone exploded with messages the second I turned off airplane mode. The group chat, the real one, the one I wasn't supposed to be in, had been accidentally shared with me. Vanessa had added me by mistake in her panic. The messages painted a clear picture of their disaster. They'd landed. They'd gone to the Airbnb address I'd given everyone. They'd found the property. They'd tried to access it and discovered they couldn't get the key code without the primary renter, me, checking in first. Meredith had called the property owner, who'd explained that the reservation holder needed to verify identity and show the credit card used for booking before access would be granted. "Early check-in is not available," the owner had written in the chat Meredith screenshot. "Primary guest must arrive first." They'd tried the rental car place. Same problem. All 3 reservations were in my name, required my credit card and driver's license to release the vehicles. They'd been in Iceland for 5 hours, had taken celebratory photos, and were now stranded at the airport with no transportation and no accommodation. The messages were increasingly frantic. Daniel. Where is he? Nathan. His flight lands at 5. He should be landing now. Jenna. What do we do until then? Rebecca. We can't just sit at the airport for 5 hours waiting for him. Kyle. Maybe we should just tell him we're here? Meredith. And say what? Hey, sorry we tried to steal your trip, but can you check us in? Vanessa. This is so bad. This is so bad. Nathan. Maybe he doesn't even know? Daniel. How would he know? Jenna. Unless someone told him. Silence. Then Meredith. Did anyone say anything? More silence. They were turning on each other. Beautiful. I took my time going through customs. I changed some money. I bought an overpriced bottle of water. I checked my email. Finally, at 5:34 p.m., I walked out into arrivals. And there they were, all 8 of them, looking exhausted, stressed, and shocked to see me. Hey guys, I said cheerfully, walking up with my suitcase. Crazy about those flight cancellations, right? The looks on their faces. Daniel tried to recover first. Oh, hey man, yeah, crazy. How was your flight? Good, I said. Yours? I watched them exchange glances. Kyle spoke up. Fine, yeah, we've been here a while. Right, I said. 6 hours, I think, since your flights left at 1 a.m.? Silence. Absolute silence. Vanessa's face went white. How did you... she started. How did I know you all took earlier flights and tried to exclude me from the trip I planned and paid for? I asked pleasantly. Well, Vanessa, I read the group chat, the one where you all spent months calling me controlling and annoying while making plans to steal my trip. I pulled out my phone and started reading messages aloud. The trip will be way more relaxed without him hovering over every detail. That was you, Vanessa. He's going to be so mad, LOL. That was Jenna. We'll pay him back eventually. Will we, though? With laughing emojis, Nathan and Daniel. Meredith found her voice. You went through Vanessa's phone? That's such a violation. You know what's a violation? I cut her off, my voice still calm but harder now. Taking $7, $452.50 from someone, and then planning to exclude them from the trip they organized. That's called fraud. My lawyer used that exact word. Lawyer? Rebecca's voice was small. Richard Grayson, I said. You might remember him from DePaul, contract law. He was very interested in this case, but honestly, I don't need to sue you. Because here's the thing, you can't exclude me. Every reservation is in my name. The Airbnb requires me to check in first. The rental cars require my credit card and license. The glacier tour I booked? My name. The restaurant reservations? My name. You tried to steal my trip, but you forgot that I'm the only one who actually has the legal right to be here. I let that sink in. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to the Airbnb. I'm going to check in. And then I'm going to decide whether to let any of you stay. Daniel stepped forward. Come on, man. Don't be like that. We can talk about this. No, I said. We can't. Because you've had months to talk to me. Months, to be honest. Months to pay me back. Instead, you coordinated elaborate lies, made a secret group chat to mock me, and planned to steal from me. So no, Daniel. We're not going to talk about this like reasonable adults. That opportunity ended when you decided I was too annoying to deserve basic respect. I started walking toward the taxi stand. Wait, Jenna called. What are we supposed to do? I turned back. Figure it out. You're all so good at planning without me. I'm sure you'll manage. Nathan jogged up. Look, we messed up. We know we messed up. But you can't just leave us stranded in Iceland. Can't I? I asked. Watch me. Vanessa grabbed my arm. Please, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please don't do this. I looked at her hand on my arm. You've been lying to my face for months, sleeping next to me every night while planning to betray me. And now you're sorry because it backfired? I pulled my arm away. Find a hotel. Use all that money you claimed you didn't have to pay me back. I got in a taxi. I gave the driver the Airbnb address. As we pulled away, I watched all 8 of them standing in the airport pickup area, illuminated by the fluorescent lights, looking lost. My phone immediately exploded with texts and calls. I turned on Do Not Disturb. The drive to the Airbnb took 35 minutes. The property was exactly as gorgeous as the photos. A modern house with huge windows overlooking dark volcanic fields, the ocean visible in the distance. I met the owner, a woman named Sigrid Jonsdottir, who greeted me warmly. You are the only one? She asked, looking at my lone suitcase. Change of plans, I said. I'll be using the property alone for the week. She raised her eyebrows but didn't pry. We verified my ID and credit card. She gave me the key code and walked me through the house. 6 bedrooms, all pristine. A massive living room with floor-to-ceiling windows. The hot tub on the deck, steam rising into the cold August evening. Enjoy your stay, Sigrid said. And if you need anything, please call me. I thanked her and closed the door. The house was silent, enormous and silent and all mine. I walked through each room, This space meant for 9 people, now occupied by 1. I should have felt lonely. Instead, I felt free. My phone was still blowing up. 63 messages when I finally checked. Most from Vanessa, increasingly desperate. Please answer me. We're sorry. We made a mistake. Don't do this. Some from Daniel. Dude, you're being insane. We'll pay you back tomorrow. This is psycho behavior. That made me laugh. Psycho behavior. From the guy who'd coordinated a months-long scheme to defraud me. I blocked all their numbers except Vanessa's. I wanted to see what she'd say. Then I unpacked, opened a local beer from the fully stocked fridge I'd arranged as part of the rental, and sat on the deck watching the sky turn deep purple over the volcanic landscape. Around 9 p.m., Vanessa tried video calling. I answered. Her face appeared, tear-stained and exhausted. Where are you? She asked. The Airbnb, I said. Where are you? A hotel near the airport. It's costing us $350 a night, and we had to split 2 rooms between 8 people. Sounds expensive, I said. Good thing you all have that money you didn't have to pay me back. Please, she whispered. I know we hurt you. I know we were terrible. But please, can we talk about this? What's there to talk about? I asked. You chose to betray me. You chose to lie. You chose every single day for months to make me feel crazy for wanting the money I was owed, and you did it with a smile. So what exactly do you want to talk about? She started crying harder. I love you. I know I messed up, but I love you, and I don't want to lose you over this. You already lost me, I said quietly. The minute you wrote that, you'd be relieved to exclude me. The minute you called me annoying for expecting basic honesty. You lost me months ago. You just didn't know it yet. What about the money? She asked. Are you really going to make us pay for a hotel all week when we paid for the Airbnb? I actually laughed. You didn't pay for the Airbnb. I did. $4,800 of my money. Money you owe me and have been avoiding paying for 7 months. So yes, Vanessa, I'm really going to make you pay for your own hotel. Welcome to consequences. I hung up. She tried calling back. I declined it and went to bed in the master bedroom with the Northern Lights viewing window. I didn't see the lights that night, but I slept better than I had in months. The next morning, I woke up at dawn and made coffee in the pristine kitchen. I had the whole day planned. I'd created that itinerary after all. I was going to the Blue Lagoon, one of the expensive reservations I'd made months ago, for 9 people. That reservation alone had cost $780. I drove one of the rental cars. I'd gone to pick up all 3 the previous evening, using my credit card and license while my former friends sat in their cramped hotel rooms. The Blue Lagoon was spectacular. Surreal blue water, silica mud masks, steam rising into the cold air. I floated in the mineral-rich water, surrounded by couples and families, completely at peace. Around noon, I got a call from an unknown Icelandic number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Hello? Hi, this is Sigrid, the property owner. I'm calling because I have 8 people here who claim they're supposed to be staying at the property. They say there was a misunderstanding. My stomach clenched. They have no right to be there, I said firmly. The reservation is exclusively in my name. I paid for it. I'm the only authorized guest. That's what I told them, Sigrid said. But they're being very insistent. The young man, Daniel, says you're holding their vacation hostage. Did he mention that he tried to exclude me from the trip I planned and paid for? That he owes me over $7,000? That he and the others created an elaborate lie to steal my vacation? Silence. I see, Sigrid finally said. I'll ask them to leave. I'm sorry for the interruption. But they didn't leave immediately. When I got back to the property around 4 p.m., their rental car, they must have found another company, was parked outside. I found all 8 of them sitting on the front steps. They stood when I pulled up. Daniel stepped forward as I got out of my car. We need to talk. No, I said, walking past him toward the door. We really don't. You can't do this, Meredith said, her voice sharp. You can't just take the trip we all paid for. You didn't pay for anything. I turned on her. I have receipts for every single expense. You want to see them? I have a folder 3 inches thick of Venmo requests you all ignored, booking confirmations with my credit card, messages where you all promised to pay me back and then never did. You paid for your flights. That's it. Everything else? Me. So yes, actually, I can do this, because it's my trip. Rebecca started crying. This is so cruel. We said we were sorry. You're sorry you got caught, I corrected. You're sorry your plan failed. You're not sorry for what you did. If your earlier flights had worked, if you'd managed to access the house without me, you'd be inside right now celebrating. You'd be posting photos with my champagne toast I planned, following my itinerary, sleeping in beds I paid for. So don't tell me you're sorry. You're just mad that I'm not letting you get away with it. Kyle spoke up. What do you want? Money? We'll pay you back right now. Right now? I said. You'll pay me back $7,452.50 right now? All of you? They exchanged glances. Well, we don't all have that much in our accounts right now, Nathan hedged. Right, I said. Just like you haven't had it for 7 months. Just like you somehow had money for camera equipment and spa weekends and gaming consoles, but not for paying back your supposed best friend. So what? Daniel asked. You're just going to enjoy Iceland alone while we're stuck in a hotel? Actually, I said, I was thinking about that, and I've decided to be generous. Hope flickered across their faces. You can each Venmo me what you owe. Your share of the Airbnb, the rental cars, the excursions, everything, plus a 20% surcharge for the 7 months of lying. If you all pay me in full by tomorrow at noon, you can join the trip. 20%? Jenna gasped. That's insane. Is it? I asked. Because that's still less than the interest I could charge you legally, and significantly less than what I'd get if I took you to court, which Richard has assured me I'd win. Vanessa stepped forward. I'll pay. Right now. I'll pay my share. She pulled out her phone. I watched her Venmo me $982.50, her portion plus the surcharge. The notification popped up on my phone. Thank you, I said. That's one down. I can't believe you're actually doing this, Daniel said. Charging your girlfriend to go on vacation. Ex-girlfriend, I said, looking at Vanessa. Her face crumbled. And yes, I'm charging the person who betrayed me to participate in something she already should have paid for. Funny how that works. The others started reluctantly pulling out their phones. Within 20 minutes, I had payments from everyone except Daniel and Meredith. We don't have it right now, Daniel said. Our accounts are actually tight. Then you don't come on the trip, I said simply. You have until tomorrow at noon. After that, the offer expires, and you can spend the rest of the week in your hotel. You're being a monster, Meredith spat. Am I? I asked. Or am I just refusing to be a doormat anymore? You all made your choices. I'm making mine. I went inside and locked the door. Through the window, I watched them argue among themselves, heated, pointing fingers. Eventually, they got in their car and left. That night, I made dinner using groceries I'd ordered for delivery. Fresh Icelandic lamb, vegetables, good bread. I ate on the deck under an incredibly clear sky, watching for northern lights. They didn't appear, but it didn't matter. I was exactly where I should be. Around 11 p.m., my phone chimed. Daniel had paid. Then Meredith. Both with brief, curt messages. Paid. There. I had all my money back, plus surcharges. $8,943 total. I sent a message to the group. Payment received. You can check in tomorrow at 2 p.m. We'll discuss trip rules then. The responses were immediate and angry, but I didn't care. I'd won. They'd spent months lying to me, and I'd flipped their betrayal into accountability. The next day, they arrived at 2 p.m. sharp. I let them in. The atmosphere was toxic with resentment, but they were there, and they'd paid. I'd prepared a printed itinerary, the one I'd originally created. Here's how this works, I said, handing copies to each of them. We follow this schedule, the one I spent weeks creating, the one you all loved before you decided I was annoying. Any deviation requires group agreement, which means my agreement. Questions? This is ridiculous, Nathan muttered. You're acting like a dictator. I'm acting like someone who paid for and planned this trip, I said. If you don't like it, there's still time to get a refund on your hotel rooms. He didn't respond. Over the next week, we followed my itinerary exactly. We saw Ojingvellir National Park, where you can stand between two continental plates. We visited Gullfoss, where glacial water thunders down in two massive stages. We soaked in natural hot springs. We drove to Jökulsárlón Glacier Lagoon and saw icebergs floating like diamonds. We went to Akureyri, the place they'd wanted to cut. It was incredible. The photos would have been perfect for Instagram if anyone had been speaking to me. They weren't. The group had fractured. Daniel and Meredith barely spoke to the rest. Vanessa kept trying to catch my eye, but I looked through her. Nathan and Jenna spent most of the time complaining quietly to each other. Rebecca and Kyle seemed uncomfortable with everything. On the fourth day, we finally saw the northern lights. We were at the Airbnb, and I happened to look out around 10 p.m. and saw them, sheets of green and purple dancing across the sky. Northern lights, I said quietly. Everyone rushed to the windows. We went outside to the deck, to the hot tub, and watched in silence. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Natural, unpredictable, worth every moment of planning and every dollar spent. Nathan took photos with the camera equipment he'd bought instead of paying me back. They were good photos. I didn't ask him to share them. After about 30 minutes, Vanessa approached me at the edge of the deck. It's beautiful, she said. It is, I agreed. I'm really sorry, she said. I know I keep saying it, but I am. I was terrible to you. I let them convince me you were being controlling when really you were just organized and thoughtful. You made all this possible, and we repaid you by being awful. I looked at her. Why? I asked. Why did you do it? She was quiet for a long time. I think I resented that you were so good at things I wasn't. Planning, organizing, following through. And it was easier to call you annoying than to admit I was jealous. So you betrayed me. So I betrayed you, she agreed. And I'll regret it for the rest of my life. Will you? I asked. Or will you just regret that it didn't work? I regret all of it, she said. The lying, the planning to exclude you, the way I made you feel crazy for wanting what you deserved. All of it. Okay, I said. Thank you for saying that. Does that mean... She started hopefully. No, I said gently. It doesn't mean we're getting back together. It means I appreciate the apology. But trust, once broken like this, doesn't come back. You understand that, right? She nodded, crying quietly. I understand. We stood there for a while longer, watching the lights dance, and then she went back inside. The next morning, I woke up early and made a decision. I called everyone into the living room. I'm leaving today, I announced. The Airbnb is paid through the end of the week. You can stay. The rental cars are yours. Everything on the itinerary is still booked and paid for. But I'm done. You're leaving? Rebecca asked. Why? Because I came to Iceland to have an adventure, and I did. I saw everything I wanted to see. I proved to myself that I don't need people who don't respect me. And honestly, being around all of you is exhausting. You're miserable. You make me miserable, and I'm done pretending this is salvageable. So you're just abandoning us? Daniel asked. Like you tried to abandon me? I countered. No, I'm leaving you with everything you need to finish the trip. Consider it a gift. Enjoy Iceland. Try to be decent to each other. I packed my bag and called a taxi to the airport. I changed my flight to that afternoon. It cost extra, but I had the money now, the money they'd finally paid me. As I waited for the taxi, Kyle approached me. For what it's worth, he said, you handled this better than any of us deserved. Thank you, I said. And Kyle, you were the only one who paid me back on time. I won't forget that. He nodded. I knew what they were planning. I should have said something. I'm sorry I didn't. Yeah, I said. You should have. The taxi arrived. I took one last look at the house, at the view, at the friends who weren't friends. Then I left. The flight home was peaceful. I had a whole row to myself. I slept most of the way, dreamless and content. When I landed in Chicago, I had 32 messages and 11 missed calls. I ignored them all and went home. The apartment I'd shared with Vanessa felt empty, but not lonely. I started making plans to find a new place. Over the next few weeks, things settled. Vanessa moved out. Daniel found a new roommate. The group chat, both of them, went silent. I heard through mutual acquaintances that the friend group had imploded. Daniel and Meredith broke up. Nathan and Jenna stopped speaking. Rebecca and Kyle postponed their wedding. Vanessa apparently told everyone what I'd done in Iceland, spinning it as me being vindictive and cruel. Some people agreed with her, but others, when they heard the full story, the money I'd fronted, the months of lies, the secret group chat, those people understood. Richard Grayson called me 6 weeks after I got back. So I heard about Iceland, he said. From who? I asked. My girlfriend knows Rebecca. Apparently you're the talk of multiple friend groups. Great, I said dryly. For what it's worth, you handled it perfectly. You didn't break any laws, you didn't do anything unethical, you just enforced consequences. That's rare. It didn't feel perfect, I admitted. It felt necessary. Best kind of perfect, he said. I thought about that a lot over the following months. As I found a new apartment, made new friends, started dating again, cautiously, carefully. I thought about how sometimes being kind means being firm, how forgiveness doesn't mean accepting unacceptable behavior, how the people who love you should show it through action, not just words. I thought about Iceland, the northern lights, the volcanic landscapes, the blue lagoons, impossible blue, the trip I'd planned and funded and ultimately reclaimed. 6 months later, I got a long email from Vanessa, a real apology, detailed and specific. She'd been in therapy. She understood now what she'd done, why she'd done it, how much she'd hurt me. She didn't ask to get back together. She just wanted me to know she was working on being better. I wrote back, "Thank you. I appreciate this. I hope you find what you're looking for." That's all. Because that was all there was to say. I never spoke to Daniel again, or Meredith, or Nathan, Jenna, or Rebecca. Kyle and I exchanged occasional messages. He really had paid me back on time, and he'd been genuinely apologetic. I heard the Iceland trip ended badly. After I left, they'd apparently struggled with my itinerary, gotten lost trying to navigate on their own, missed several reservations I'd carefully timed, and spent the last 2 days fighting. They'd returned to Chicago, fractured and unhappy. Meanwhile, I'd returned transformed. Not bitter, despite what Vanessa told people. Not vengeful. Just clear. Clear about what I deserved. Clear about what real friendship looked like. Clear about the difference between being controlling and being the only one willing to do the work. A year later, I went back to Iceland. Alone this time, intentionally. I rented a small cabin near Akureyri and spent a week hiking, photographing, exploring. I saw the northern lights again, even more vibrant than the first time. I stood between continental plates at Ajingvellir and felt the ground shift slightly beneath my feet, tectonic forces beyond my control. I thought about my old friend group, scattered now across Chicago, probably never speaking again. I thought about the trip that had ended friendships and revealed truths, and I felt grateful. Grateful for the betrayal that showed me who people really were. Grateful for the pain that taught me self-respect. Grateful for Iceland, twice. On my last night in that cabin, I made a fire and sat watching snow fall outside the window. My phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. "Hey, this is Nathan. I know we haven't talked in a year. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. You were right about all of it. I was a terrible friend, and you deserved better. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, "Thank you for saying that. I hope you're doing well." That was it. No reconciliation, no friendship restored, just acknowledgement. Sometimes that's enough. I opened my laptop and looked at the photos from this trip. Solo adventure photos, free and unencumbered by betrayal or resentment. Then I opened the folder from the first Iceland trip. The documentation I'd assembled, the evidence of what I'd spent and what they'd owed. I'd kept it all, just in case. But I didn't need it anymore. I dragged the folder to trash. Then I emptied it. The past disappeared into digital nothing. Outside, the snow continued to fall over volcanic Iceland, covering old ground with new white, making everything clean again. Inside, I poured myself a glass of Icelandic whiskey and toasted to the trip I'd planned alone, funded alone, reclaimed alone, to the northern lights and second chances, to being the person who does the work and expects nothing less from others, to knowing when to fight and when to simply walk away. The fire crackled, the snow fell. The snow, and I was finally, completely at peace. Thanks for watching till the end. Make sure to subscribe and like to not miss the next story.